Now that Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois are all warmed up to see each other in the ring on the coming 21st.
I've not seen him being capable of being able to think in the ring.
Former Cruiserweight World Champion Johnny Nelson talked about how the fight is not about Anthony because he is going to do this thing and win. He made the fight dependent on Dubois.
My reading has not changed at all. I think Daniel Dubois is where Anthony Joshua was.
Johnny Nelson pointed out the uncertainty about where Dubois stands and the strategies he might employ in his upcoming matches. He praised Dubois' trainer Don Charles, acknowledging his significant yet often overlooked contributions to Dubois' training and success in the ring.
The questions are about Daniel Dubois. Where is Daniel Dubois at? What kind of tactics will Daniel Dubois choose? Daniel Dubois has an excellent trainer and coach in Don Charles, rate him massively. Don is so underrated, it's untrue.
Johnny Nelson further elaborated that unexpected events in the ring, like getting hit or hurt, require a fighter to assess and decide on the best action for him swiftly.
But if you can think in the ring, what happens then is if you get hit and get hurt or something unpredicted happens in the ring, you've got to be able to think about how to deal with it. And at times, I've criticised him. I thought, the kid's got no heart, he doesn't want it enough. He's just had to grow up in public, that's all he's had to do. So the questions are all for Daniel.
Where Daniel Dubois currently holds a professional boxing record of 21 wins and 2 losses, with 20 of those wins coming by way of knockout. He competes in the heavyweight division and stands at 6'5" tall. Both of the fighters have reportedly sparred, and it didn't end well for Joshua. Eddie Hearn addressed rumors that Joshua was challenged by a hit from Dubois during the sparring, which left him momentarily overwhelmed but conscious.
What everyone was telling everyone was that AJ got carried out of the ring unconscious. That's changed quite a lot. So he got buzzed by a shot, was out on his feet. But by the way, they carried on sparring. You do know that people like Rob McCracken and those experienced guys, if you get hurt in sparring, the sparring stops.
Eddie Hearn anticipated it to be a fiercely contested match. He clarified that the fight is not expected to be straightforward or easy, underscoring the readiness and resolve within Joshua's camp to face a formidable opponent like Dubois. He pointed out Dubois' prime physical condition and his powerful punching ability, which make him a significant threat in the ring.
I'm not trying to make a case for this to be an easy fight. I'm telling you, this is in war. This is a tough fight, and we're up for it. We want that fight. AJ's up for this war next week, and he knows in his head this is going to be a tough fight. It might not be, but there's every chance it could be.
The sparring session between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, which took place in 2016 at the GB Performance Institute in Sheffield, has stirred considerable discussion. Dubois, then just 18, landed a significant shot on Joshua that momentarily unbalanced Joshua, who genuinely rattled. Anthony Fowler sparked these discussions again when the fight was at head. Johnny Nelson talked about it and shared his first-hand experience where fighters, including himself, were outperformed in sparring, but excelled in real bouts, underscoring sparring as a training tool focused on refining specific skills, such as defense, rather than showcasing full fighting capabilities.
I mean, anything. Many people I spar with got the better of me, and then I box them and knock them out. So it doesn't mean anything, because when you're sparring, you're going, if you're at a certain stage in your career, you're going in there to work on a certain artillery, and you'll neglect something else. You might be working on defense, you'll neglect your offensive work.
Joe Joyce also shared his perspective on Daniel Dubois' punching power. Even though he wasn't present during a specific incident, he mentioned seeing a clip that showcased Dubois' formidable strength. Joyce emphasized that Dubois hits extremely hard, suggesting that anyone on the receiving end of his punches, especially if caught properly, would feel the impact. Joyce commented, "I wasn't there, but I did see a clip of it on someone's phone. Before D hits hard, full stop. Like if you're there to be hit and he lands on you, then you get hit. Yeah, he can hit." Anthony Joshua has an impressive career record of 26 wins and 3 losses, with 23 of those wins coming by knockout. His achievements include holding the WBA, IBF, and WBO titles twice, marking significant milestones in his boxing journey. Derek Chisora talked about what changes he saw in him during the last months while preparing for the fight.
The changes he's made is that Ben Davison, yeah. The people around him now, he's still the same people around him, but he's understanding. They're listening to him as well.
They've gelled.
They've gelled.
If it was something worthy of being noted for Derek, Simon Jordan noted that Joshua has always had the physical ability to dominate in the ring. He highlighted that the real challenge lies not in Joshua's physical capacity, but in his mental approach and readiness to handle intense situations during a fight. Jordan also recalled AJ's recent fights and expressed that while these fights were solid, they did not significantly challenge Joshua to the point of testing his limits.
With Anthony Joshua physically, I never felt that Anthony Joshua wasn't physically capable of knocking people out. I thought he was mentally concerned about what was happening to him. So when I see him fight Franklin, and when I saw him fight Hellenius, and when I saw him fight Wallin, I felt to myself, these are decent fights, but none of these fighters have really stuck it on him.
Finally, Jordan raised questions about Joshua's inner belief and his ability to rebound under severe pressure, similar to what he demonstrated in his iconic fight against Klitschko. He pondered whether Joshua possesses the deep-seated belief to overcome extreme challenges, similar to past situations where he had to rally from difficult positions to secure a victory.
Which my question is, when Anthony Joshua gets put into that red zone, and a question gets really asked of him, will he have the deep-seated belief or the desire to do what he did against Klitschko, which is pick himself off the floor?
During the discussion, Chisora challenged the common perception that it would be an easy match for him. Chisora recognized Dubois' training and preparation, acknowledging that he is a formidable opponent, and pointed out that even Anthony Joshua is aware of Dubois' capabilities and the challenges he presents.
The fight with Daniel Dubois, everybody thinks it's going to be a walk in the park. I don't think so, because Daniel's trained.
Yeah.
And then AJ knows that. And then it's going to be a good fight.
Gareth A. Davies shared his thoughts on the unpredictability of boxing matches, especially when powerful fighters like Anthony Joshua are involved. He suggested that while a fight could end in the middle rounds, it's also entirely possible for it to extend to all 12 rounds due to the resilience and power of the fighters involved. Davies commented, "It could go mid-rounds. I mean, I could be completely wrong and it could go 12 rounds. You never know with these things. They both could get up off the floor and fight on, but they both have a lot of power. Joshua is a very good finisher." Davies noted that Dubois seemed to take too many hits, which might lead to a more protective strategy regarding his chin, but these are inherent risks in heavyweight boxing, where the durability of a fighter's chin is always under scrutiny. Specifically, he was concerned about Anthony Joshua's ability to withstand powerful hits, especially from someone like Dubois, whose right hand is notably dangerous.
Dubois looked like he was hit too much by Hrgović, and they will protect his chin more in this fight. And then there's always some question marks about, this is heavyweight boxing, so there are always question marks about your chin in heavyweight boxing, but there's question marks about Joshua's chin if he's hit flush by Dubois. That right hand of his is enormously dangerous. But
Gareth A. Davies further elaborated on the expertise and strategic prowess of the teams behind the fighters. He praised Ben Davidson, despite his young age of around 29 or 30, for his long-standing experience in the boxing industry and his ability to craft effective strategies for his fighters.
It'll be in the minds a little bit. It's a bit like that external pressure that everyone's putting on him to defeat Daniel Dubois so that the Tyson Fury fight will happen. That won't be on his mind right now. He's got a very dangerous young critter in front of him as far as he sees it, in 26-year-old Daniel Dubois, who's looked very good of late, as has Joshua, by the way. And you've got to praise the sterling work behind the scenes from Don Charles with Dubois and Ben Davison and Lee Wiley with Anthony Joshua. They've transformed the way they are, certainly in the optics of the way they're fighting and how they're carrying themselves, and transferring those skills into the delivery of what they should be doing in the ring. My only critique of Daniel Dubois in recent times is he got hit a bit too much by Filip Hrgović, which I don't think he can afford to do against Joshua. And I see it as a battle of the jabs early on, because they both like to jab and throw their right hand or throw a left hook in the case of Joshua. They both hook well as well. But I think it'll be cagey for a couple of rounds, and then I just think the fight's going to explode. I cannot see it going 12 rounds.
You think it'll go early?
It could go early. It could go mid-rounds. I mean, I could be completely wrong, and it could go 12 rounds. You never know with these things. They both could get up off the floor and fight on, but they've both got a lot of power. Joshua's a very good finisher. Dubois looked like he was hit too much by Hrgović, and they will protect his chin more in this fight. And then there's always some question marks about, this is heavyweight boxing, so there are always question marks about your chin in heavyweight boxing, but there's question marks about Joshua's chin if he's hit flush by Dubois. That right hand of his is enormously dangerous. But
Gareth A. Davies predicted that Joshua possesses a tighter defense and a superior jab, characteristics that are not very common nowadays. Davies suggested that Dubois often leave himself more open to hits due to his aggressive style, which could be a disadvantage in this matchup. Based on these observations, he predicted that Joshua would likely land more significant strikes and potentially secure a victory around the 6th to 8th rounds.
My view is Joshua has a tighter defense, and I think arguably people might not agree with me, but a better jab. And I think Dubois is easier to hit, and he commits himself a little more. So I think if I was to say anything, my pick at the moment for a Seedman fight week is Joshua to land a bit more and Joshua to win the fight.
Joe Joyce also predicted the fight, but he is not ready to sink the boat to one side. He saw a competitive edge and determination between the fighters, which is because of a strong jab and the will to win. He highlighted that in boxing, the ability to absorb a hit and continue fighting is crucial. Joyce expressed excitement about the unpredictable nature of boxing, noting that the anticipation of how each fighter would react to being hit adds to the sport's thrill.
Both got a good jab, and it's about who wants it more, who's who could, like, if they get tagged, are they going to take the shot, or what's going to happen? This is what boxing, man. It's exciting, and like, may the best man win. And obviously, Dubois now come with a title that he got elevated to main thing, which is handy for him. But
Dubois has also held the WBA regular heavyweight title and has been a prominent figure in significant heavyweight bouts, including a recent matchup against Alexander Usyk. These fights have built hype around Dubois, where Joy Joyce was confused about who to choose from this fight, as this is one of the toughest fights to choose from. Duke McKenzie expressed a preference for Daniel Dubois over Anthony Joshua and talked about how Dubois displays a natural athleticism and a looser fighting style compared to Joshua. He also noted that Dubois appears to have faced tougher challenges in his recent fights, suggesting that Dubois has been better tested and prepared.
I'm slightly leaning towards Dubois, simply because when I've looked at AJ recently, because I've done a bit of research on him, this is how I'm talking with so much confidence, and I've looked at Dubois also, and you look at the last several fights that they've had, AJ's had the softer ride in.
Yeah.
Dubois is the more natural athleticism about him. He's more loose than AJ. He would have done his research on AJ and know how to beat AJ. Not that AJ won't have done his research on Dubois, because I'm sure
but
he would
wouldn't
have
been focused on Dubois.
McKenzie elaborated on Dubois' psychological approach between confidence and humility. McKenzie noted that while confidence is crucial, Dubois does not let it tip into overconfidence, which is key given the high stakes of the match. He described Dubois as humble, grounded, and fully aware of the severe challenge posed by Joshua. McKenzie added, "What that does for two-level confidence, but you don't get overconfident with it. That's not what he's make up to by. He's also very, very humble. He doesn't get carried away. He knows his fight against Joshua is going to be probably life and death. Make no mistake." Duke McKenzie then mentioned the very low chances of the fight going the distance because both fighters have powerful striking abilities. He relayed insights from Richie Woodhall, who has trained Dubois and expressed high praise for Dubois' jab, labeling it the best he's ever seen. McKenzie highlighted Woodhall's credibility in the sport, suggesting that if the fight comes down to jabs, Dubois would dominate.
I can't see it going the distance because they both hit so hard. And Richie Woodhall once said to me, because he's trained Daniel Dubois, he said to me, Dubois got the best jab he's ever seen, and Richie Woodhall knows his stuff. I promise you that. If this fight is a battle of the jabs, then Dubois wins hands down.
According to McKenzie, Dubois continues to fight aggressively with combinations, a style that Joshua has moved away from as he has faced tougher opponents. He noted that Joshua now adopts a more cautious approach, only engaging fully when he is sure of his positioning and effectiveness. This shift, according to McKenzie, is a contrast with Dubois' more dynamic and aggressive style.
In my opinion, hits just as hard as AJ. He's quicker than AJ. Dubois fights in combinations. He throws combinations in. You don't see AJ doing that anymore. AJ did that in the early part of his career when he was on the ascendancy and was knocking out a load of guys, and he looked sensational. But since stepping up in class, AJ no longer does that. AJ's gone strictly safety first, He'll only pull the trigger when he knows he's in range and he can get that shot on the right hand I'm talking about.
Mark Tibbs, a well-respected boxing coach from London, Mark Tibbs commented on the upcoming fight and shared his belief in the unpredictability of boxing matches and expressed a sense that the match could be a balanced contest. Reflecting his thoughtful and experienced perspective on the sport, he went saying,
"Smashing fight, a terrific fight. The more and more I think about it, and the more and more I make it a 50-50. AJ obviously has got the wealth of experience."
Mark Tibbs acknowledged Anthony Joshua's impressive credentials and his experience as a two-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist, which naturally makes him the favorite in the match. He emphasized that the outcome could very well depend on Dubois' ability to effectively land his powerful shots first in the fight.
Double world champion and been everywhere, Olympic gold medalist, etc. So obviously he's the favourite. But Daniel's certainly got weapons of mass destruction. And he's got to land them first, fast and hard though.
Mark Tibbs commented on the defensive aspects of both fighters, noting that each has vulnerabilities that could be exposed during the fight. Despite these defensive gaps, Tibbs expressed great anticipation for the bout, expecting it to be an exciting clash.
Listen, Daniel has got a puncher's chance, yeah? But listen, the less he gets touched and the quicker he gets off, he's got more chance to win.
So he can't have a slow start, you're saying?
Well, they're going to be a bit cagey, the pair of them. I feel they're going to be a bit cagey, but they've got to both do what they do best, and it's very simple. It's very simple. But what they've got to do better is their defence has got to be a little bit smarter. A little bit smarter.
Mark Tibbs highlighted the importance of avoiding hits and initiating attacks swiftly to increase Dubois' chances of winning. Tibbs highlighted that both fighters have a good defense but will need to capitalize on their strengths and improve their defensive tactics to make a big show.
Listen, Daniel has got a puncher's chance, yeah? But listen, the less he gets touched and the quicker he gets off, he's got more chance to win.
So he can't have a slow start, you're saying?
Well, they're going to be a bit cagey, the pair of them. I feel they're going to be a bit cagey, but they've got to both do what they do best, and it's very simple. It's very simple. But what they've got to do better is their defence has got to be a little bit smarter. A little bit smarter.
Frank Warren is also backing up Dubois, which he must as a promoter. He highlighted that Dubois is in a great mental and physical state, having secured significant victories against highly ranked fighters. These wins include a notable victory for the interim WBA title, which Dubois won impressively.
Good morning. Yes, it does. He's in a really good place at the moment. He's coming off for two magnificent wins, beating two world-rated fighters. One was against Hrgovic, and that was for the interim IBF title, and he won that in style. And he's at the top of his game now, mentally, physically, mentally, and I'm very confident of his chances going into this fight.
Warren talked about the quality of competition each has faced recently. He praised Dubois for defeating superior opponents compared to those Joshua has faced, highlighting Dubois' strong position due to these victories. Warren pointed out Dubois' age and momentum, suggesting that while Dubois is more experienced than Joshua, recent records speak to his readiness and capability.
All the stuff leading up to it is quite intriguing, it's quite entertaining, and as I say, with these two, you know, they're two British guys, both of them on a roll. They're both coming off of some good wins, although I believe Daniel's opponents have been superior, better quality than AJ's. He's a young man, 26 years of age now, and he's going in with a guy who's got impeccable credentials in AJ. You know, the Olympic gold medalist in London. He's done everything that's been asked of him up to a point as a professional, 2 times world champion. He's going for his third crack of gaining the title. So, you know, he's probably got more of the experience, but, you know, boxing.
Frank Warren expressed that the expectations and pressure are notably high on Anthony Joshua due to his prominence and favoritism. Warren pointed out that Joshua, being the more recognized and celebrated boxer of the two, carries the weight of these expectations into the ring. According to him, a loss could significantly impact his ability to make a comeback in his boxing career.
I think the pressure is on him because obviously, you know, he's the bookmaker's favourite, he's probably the fans' favourite, and he's obviously the better known boxer of the two, certainly in the UK. So everything's on him. It's how you lose a fight. If he lost the fight as the way you just said, then I think he'd have a hard way if he wanted to carry on to come back.
Dubois might be managing to win some of his favors because of his confidence, but all in all it is Joshua who is the favorite of all time for fans and community alike, just as Ben Shalman expressed strong confidence in Anthony Joshua's capabilities, especially in his upcoming fight. Joshua's readiness and the favorable circumstances are key factors contributing to his success.
AJ within 5. Yeah.
Why so confident?
I think he's ready, and I think he's back at Wembley, and the stars are aligned, and I think it's fantastic for boxing that Anthony Joshua is back in a big way. I'm a massive fan of Anthony Joshua.
Ben Shalman continued sharing with the media that while Joshua is expected to defeat the level of competition he's faced, the impressive manner in which he has been winning is noteworthy. Shalman shared the excitement around Joshua's performance, suggesting that many are expecting him to deliver a particularly devastating display in his upcoming matches.
I think we can't get too carried away, because the fighters that he's been fighting, he should be beating. But the way he's been doing it and the way he's looked is impressive, and I expect him to put on a devastating performance.
Wherever the fight might go according,
there comes a time in boxing when it's a young man's game, and I believe this young man is on his game at the moment, and I do think he'll come away as the victor.
the pros might be divided, but the fight will decide. If you liked the video, make sure to watch more on the screen.